Hey everyone, we are happy to announce an early view to our next major patch coming to our dynamic Cold War campaign server. We've done several small changes since the last big patch, but we wanted to bundle these all together because there are some mechanic changes as well as some new mechanics that continue to iterate on the server. Please note that this patch is still being worked on and we are orientating toward a mid-September launch. If this is your first time here, this channel focuses on multiplayer sim gameplay, so if you're into that, please subscribe. Let's get into it. The infantry inserts are being reworked to be more effective as well as more flexible. Currently, the gameplay loop for infantry inserts is to drop infantry off, knock out targets, and then immediately fly back to base and get more troops to rinse and repeat. It doesn't really matter if you crash your helo while landing, because if your troops get out, then the damage is done and you can quickly respawn and grab a new helicopter. This changes. We want to allow players that have more skill to be more effective and to promote realistic behavior of trying to protect your airframe. In this patch, infantry inserts will now be able to be exfilled and to be reused again. As soon as your infantry attack a nearby target, they respawn nearby it. Helicopters are then able to pick them up again and to continue their infantry insert attacks. This should increase the potential efficiency of helicopters. Additionally, as they respawn close to targets they just attacked, if they did not destroy the enemy position entirely, they will then engage in combat with them. This means that we are promoting transport helicopters to fly in groups to ensure they consistently knock out unit positions in full. If you do not pick up your infantry within 5 minutes of them respawning, they will then go away and vanish. When you fly toward your infantry and are within 3 kilometers of them, they will pop green smoke for exfil. The 5-minute timer restarts, and if they are not picked up, they will despawn. Additionally, if you land troops too far away from an enemy position, the units do not disappear. They simply randomly spawn in an area around you, and then you'll have to find them, and they will pop green smoke to be picked up. Additionally, we are removing the restriction of what targets infantry inserts were allowed to attack. They can now attack FARP or airfield defenses as well as depots. This should also increase the lethality of helicopters in general. Transport helicopters will be able to be viable threats against airfields. Please note FARP and row-based support structures like fuel trucks are invulnerable. This is to ensure that spawn points do not become totally void. Also note that infantry cannot attack industrial targets. Lastly, for this mechanic, both sides use green smoke for exfil. The smoke disappears after 5 minutes. We feel that it is important to try to break up the routine of the helicopter milk runs, meaning the to and from the airbase to the front line, and kind of breaking up the linear gameplay loop. We believe the confusion of whose green smoke is who will force helicopter pilots to be more careful and on guard to look around. If you are one of these helicopter pilots that feel the smoke gives you away, then you simply do not fly toward it, and do what you were doing before by grabbing another infantry squad from the base. The choice is yours. A new mechanic that is coming with the server is Infantry Recon. We are excited that you are excited by the Recon mechanic, and we want to make sure we continue to iterate and to expand the capabilities of this neat mechanic. Gazelle and Heinz will have the ability to now do Recon. There is a restriction with our code that will force an entire rewrite of all the helicopter mechanics if we want to expand this to the Mi-8 and the Huey. We are starting with the Gazelle and Heinz and seeing the reaction of this mechanic. Basically, how often is it being used? These helicopters will be able to load troops at a FARP and then head to the front. When they land within an enemy sector, the infantry despawn after 3 minutes. They will then immediately scan a 4.5 kilometer radius around where they were dropped. They will then randomly appear from where they were dropped, and they will pop green smoke. When you pick them up, the enemy positions in the area that get scanned will then immediately be marked on the map, and credits will be granted to the helicopter pilot. Please note that this mechanic and infantry insert mechanic, you will be able to pick up other people's infantry and recon infantry. Recon targets do get marked if another helicopter picks up the recon troops. The Huey and the Mi-8 can pick up recon infantry, but they will not be able to reuse them because of a limitation in our code. We would like to hear community feedback once this is live. The patch also includes some large quality of life changes that we think will make things much better for the players. The first one, and my favorite, is that we believe we may have fixed the F10 radio bug, where there was kind of a floating F10 radio menu option that sometimes randomly appeared in your list of options. This means that every time you join a slot, your F10 radio menu option should always be the same, and you should be able to consistently use voice attack or text lord. Please note, this issue is a hard one to reproduce in testing. We think we have solved it, but we will not know until it hits the live server, as we need 50 plus players to test it. We are adding in a new mechanic that lets you type -time into the server chat. This will tell you when the mission will reset. This is a small change, but it will be a very impactful one. We have kept the starting and ending times fixed on the missions because we wanted the players to know what options were viable due to flight times relative to the reset time. With this change, we will be able to experiment with more different times of day, and with that we can start experimenting more with weather. Based on our stats survey, we see a significant portion of the population wants to see more variety in weather. Now with this time command, we will be able to do that and not confuse players if we start to shift the times around. We would like to source community ideas on what weather options they would like. Specifically, we would like to see requests that have screenshots of what weathers they like and the related mission editor settings. This will help us evaluate things faster as we begin to experiment. In general, we want to make the mission to look much prettier and for players to find the weather enjoyable. We hope that players enjoy this patch and that these changes continue to elevate the server. I will say, from my personal note, I was very nervous that the server was always one day away from being dead. But now that we've been able to retain population for so long, I no longer see us as just a server, but really as an institution. The Cold War scene will continue to develop, and we are orientating ourselves accordingly. We have a major project in the works that will fundamentally change how the server works and plays while retaining the core things that people love about the server. We are expecting this to go live in January. Please let me know what you think about the patch in the comments below. Additionally, if you would like to help the server, please consider liking and subscribing, as this channel acts as a mouthpiece for the server. Thank you, and see you online.